I've adapted this phrase that runs in my head every day. I say, I am climbing Cringe Mountain. And that is something that when this very, very first started, I had 200 followers on TikTok, and I started posting to those 200 people. And at the time you would get notifications, and I don't get those anymore where it's a different scale, but you could see Rachel viewed your video, but Rachel didn't like your video. And I'd be like, well, why didn't she like it? Now, of course, there's like 14 people who have liked these videos. I mean, it's very small numbers. But then it'd be a person I went to high school with, and I'd be like, okay, so they saw that, they viewed it, but they didn't like it because they thought it was cringy, and this is so silly, and why am I doing this? And I need to quit posting on here, and nobody cares, and blah, 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 blah. But I kept doing it because I was like, you know what? There's like 4 people, my mother and father included, who think they're great, and they love them. So I was like, you know what, I'll just keep doing it. And I kept at it. And then when things started taking off, I was like, oh, okay, Rachel was right. I am funny on my close friend's story. And now this has transitioned into TikTok. And then it was hard. I climbed Cringe Mountain, and it was, every day I climbed Cringe Mountain,
Welcome to the Good Seed Podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Rachel.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Good Seed Podcast. We are so excited for our guest today. It is Lauryn Jeter Pinkston. She just got married back in October to Colin Pinkston. Shout out to Colin. And she is an amazing girl. She is a 6th generation Kentuckian, and she is very passionate about agriculture. So she is in the equine insurance industry. Her and her husband raise commercial beef cattle on a small cattle farm, and she is very widely known on the internet, and she has built an online presence of nearly 150,000 insanely engaged followers. She's known by her followers for her fun personality, for talking to her cows, and she's a professional gate opener. And she's just very authentic. She has a great sense of humor. Her followers just love her. I think they probably all 150,000 would go to war for you if they needed you. Like, you were very well loved. So thanks for joining us today, Lauryn. Welcome to the podcast.
We're super excited to have you.
One of your biggest fans. Always have been, and I'm glad to be here. So yes, thanks for having me.
I'm one of your biggest fans, girl. So I love it. I love it. So can you kind of give our audience a little bit of backstory in case they don't know you? Like, how'd you grow up? What did you come from? How did you get into TikTok? Kind of give us a little background.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Central Kentucky, been here my whole life. I see people left and right that I went to high school with who move away, and they love and they live this big, exciting life in these big cities. And I love that for them. But I personally think that this is the best place in the world. I love every single thing about Central Kentucky. We have all 4 seasons. Colin and I live right outside of Lexington. So we have that, I call it a schmedium town. We're not technically a small town, but we're a smaller feel of a town. And we still have all the luxuries of a bigger city in Lexington, just a few miles away. So I love this area, have no intentions of leaving, have really enjoyed spending some time on the outskirts of Lexington. My parents are celebrating 30 years of marriage this year. I've had a really great role model from the both of them, just, fighting for love and sickness and in health and richer or poor. So from the beginning, marriage was something that was very important to me. So getting married in October was a really special time. It was so many emotions, so highs and lows, and the planning and finally getting there, having all of my most favorite people around me was really exciting. So I feel like I had a great foundation growing up. We had everything we wanted. We played sports. I grew up riding horses. We went on vacation. We had a really blessed childhood. So I don't take that for granted. And I think that that's the hard work from my parents has really propelled me into my future and set me up for success of where I am now. So social media has been the craziest thing that's happened to me. I joked, I guess it was summer of 23. I kind of joked. I said, I'm going to go viral on TikTok. And what I meant by that was I'm going to have one goofy video of my dog growling at a cow, go viral, and then I'll be able to say, okay, I went viral on social media.
Mhm.
I started posting on TikTok at the advice of one of my friends, Kaylee. I posted on a close friend story, and she'd be like, this is great content. Like, you got to put this out to the public, not just the 25 of us. So I finally took the leap. I posted on TikTok. One thing led to the other. I had a couple of very viral videos. 2 months later, there's like 50,000 followers. And I said, oh, okay, well, maybe I got something here. And it's bizarre because in my head, I'm not all that interesting, but it's been really fun to play into it. It gives me a creative outlet that I haven't had in the past. Oh, sure, I like to paint a painting, or, go to the pottery place and paint a mug. But how often do you go paint mugs? You don't really do that very often. So I didn't have a great creative outlet, and it was really fun for me to start creating content and figuring out the editing side of things. And, it's amazing, the community that's on there. And I think that's been the most rewarding thing for me is there's so many people out there involved in agriculture who are young, colonized age, who may not be generational farmers and want to get into it. And I think it's nice that we can share, hey, you don't have to inherit 1,000 acres from your granddaddy and buy brand new tractors to make a living in agriculture. And I guess I retract that, because we don't make a living in agriculture. We joke that we have our 9-to-5s to pay for our farming hobby, and we do it because we love it. So there's kind of, I guess, my elevator pitch. We went up like 25 floors. That was quite the pitch.
No, I love it. I love it. And I remember back those days whenever you were only posting on your private Instagram story, and every time you would post, I'd have to drop what I was doing and turn up the volume because you were freaking hilarious. And so you would just bring me so much joy, just listen to you talk about whatever. You're sitting in the parking lot of your nail salon and telling a story about your nail salon. I was like, she's freaking hilarious. She needs to post this online. So I was so glad when you finally did. That was incredible. I'm so, so happy. And look where we are. You bring a lot of joy into all these people's lives who watch your content. And I'm just so proud of you. I think it's amazing.
Well, and it's been really, it's brought me a lot of joy. I have a textbook imposter syndrome. Rachel actually, she recommended me to the therapist that I see now. Rachel saw her previously, and we all joke, we all love her dearly. And I've talked to her about, it's so bizarre to me that this many people care. And I've reflected a lot on why they care so much. And I think, what you had mentioned, Rachel, the authenticity, it's a lot of work to be someone you're not. So it's pretty easy for me to just put my organic self out there. And I've been very blessed that people care to hear what I got to say. So it's been really fun. We're enjoying this journey we're on, regardless of what happens to TikTok. We're enjoying this journey we're on.
I love that. I love that. So what made you finally decide to take that leap? And it is a big leap when you put yourself out on the internet. I'm sure we felt that a lot.
Recently talking about it, because I don't want to say we don't like it. I just want to say it's uncomfortable because you're not used to it, right? And we could go days and not post something.
I can go days without even checking Instagram.
I have Facebook because the offer that I got on in sales in 2023, basically you had to be in their Facebook groups to be able to interact and see the clients and basically make more money.
Yeah.
So I was okay, I'll get on Facebook again, whatever, but it's not something that
it's not something that's I don't guess it's natural for anybody. Not social media is such a different space.
Influencers, I really look up to them in the fact or the aspect of it takes balls, dude, to go out there and just be your genuine self and put your whole life for the whole world to see and judge. And it really takes guts. It's not for the faint of heart, because I would imagine in you, it sounds to me like your audience is very positive and you get a lot of love. But at the same time, it goes both ways, right? So just being that vulnerable to be like your authentic self and be out there. First and foremost, you don't see a lot. I think that in this space, you see a lot of people fake their lives. Like, for example, these moms that have like white couches and white kitchens. Like, they drive me insane. I'm like, you have 5 toddlers. Like, we know that you probably have another kitchen in your house. Like, it's like, this cannot
not
be
realistic.
it.
Yeah.
This cannot be it. No, there's no way. So I think people praise that. Like, they actually enjoy it, and that's probably why you're getting such a huge
like traction
and engagement from actual humans, because you're just your actual authentic self. So very, very, like, I think that I look up to a lot of people that are again willing to put themselves out there like that, because it's not like I'm like getting my feet wet, like one day at a time.
We just talked about that last night. We're like, we need to start posting more than just our like normal reels from us sitting here in the studio. Like, we need to do day to day.
And I was like, really? Like,
people don't want to see this, but like, maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
But what made you like push past that fear?
Yeah.
So I have adapted this phrase that runs in my head every day. I say, I am climbing Cringe Mountain. And that is something that when this very, very first started, you know, I had 200 followers on TikTok, and I started posting to those 200 people. And, you know, at the time you would get notifications, and I don't get those anymore where it's a different scale, but you could see Rachel viewed your video, but Rachel didn't like your video. And I'd be like, well, why didn't she like it? Now, of course, there's like 14 people who have liked these videos. I mean, it's very small numbers. But then it'd be a person I went to high school with, and I'd be like, okay, so they saw that. They viewed it, but they didn't like it because they thought it was cringy. And this is so silly. And why am I doing this? And I need to quit posting on here. And nobody cares. And blah, 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 blah. But I kept doing it because I was like, you know what? There's like 4 people, my mother and father included, who think they're great and they love them. So I was like, you know what, I'll just keep doing it. And I kept at it. And then when things started taking off, I was like, oh, okay, Rachel was right. I am funny on my close friend's story. And now this has transitioned into TikTok. And then I was like, holy moly, there's 50,000 people on here who also agree. And it was, you know, it was hard, especially, you know, circling back to the people from high school. This area and Rachel's town too, you can't go anywhere without seeing someone, you know, whether
I have heard.
Yes, it's borderline, it's terrifying, you know, and I'm much more confident about it now, but especially in those years where I didn't go to college, I didn't do a 4-year degree. I went to college for about a year and came back. And so I was in Lexington during those 4 years that I should have been at college. And those were kind of the hardest because it was like, oh, what are you doing? Everyone asks you those questions. But, you know, now 10 years later, it's a lot easier to say, you know, we're all on our own page. You know, we are not the same people we were in high school, and that is totally okay. So kind of to answer your question, I'm going out on a tangent here. It was hard. I climbed Cringe Mountain, and it was, every day I climb Cringe Mountain. You know, people ask me a lot. They say, I want a routine, how you curl your hair, or I want a makeup routine. But that is so terrifying for me to take my phone into my bathroom and film a makeup routine. First off, I know doodah about makeup, so it's hard that I'm like, well, this is kind of what I've put together, and I don't want the makeup girls to come critique me on my makeup routine, right. And I'm just uncomfortable filming in my bathroom. That's not the kind of content I want to create, so guess who's in charge? I'm in charge, and I'm not going to create that content. So there's still many things that people ask for that I, you know, respectfully don't do because it's out of my comfort zone still. And maybe in a year I'll do, you know, very chatty, get ready with me videos every single day where I'm curling my hair and I'm putting my makeup on, and it's more me yapping about what's going on versus now I'm going to wear the L'Oreal mascara and, you know, stuff like that. So I think it's all relative, and you just climb over that dang Cringe Mountain. I talk about it all the time, and it's hard. It's a steep climb,
It's
but
the consistency.
Yeah.
people are going to talk about you regardless.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I think about it of, if there's two gals from high school who have something negative to say about me, oh well.
Let them.
No, the let them theory. That book's on my list to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think like my mindset comes, I don't think I care much about what people say. It's more like I don't want people to know about, like, I just
You
don't
like being private?
I like being private. I don't think that I worry so much. I think that it's one conversation me and Rachel had prior to starting this whole thing that we were like, oh crap, like people are gonna come for me. Especially like I that was my mindset. And you were like, oh, hold on, like, so like our families like didn't know certain things, right? Like about our stories and stuff. And I think that it got to a point where we were both like, okay, like, are we doing this or not? Because if we're doing it, we can't really care.
Yeah.
And even if you still care, you can't really think about it if you're going to be intentional about the purpose behind the whole thing. So I think my like comes from a different, like, I guess, point of view, because I don't really care. It's just like I rather just not have people know about me. But I'm doing this for a bigger purpose, so it's something that I will have to get comfortable with by practice. And I think the one thing that you've said over and over again is that you never stopped. And that's consistency. Consistency beats everything.
Yeah. 100%.
Everything. So like you keep doing it again and again, rinse and repeat, you will get better at it. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I've been hearing from you, I guess. Like I did it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it.
And you said even every day you're climbing Cringe Mountain, right? Is it still something that like is a daily, I guess, thought process for you?
I mean, just for an example, I didn't grow up driving tractors. I didn't grow up operating machinery. So this is all new to me, since I met Colin. And for the first 3 years of our relationship, I was very apprehensive to, this is crazy to say, invest too much in my skill set with him because we weren't engaged. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to, pour all of this into this relationship and become this farmhand extraordinaire when I don't have the commitment that I want from him. And so once he proposed and I was like, okay, so we're really in this together. We're going to be together forever. I said, put me in the seat of that tractor. And I have started slowly becoming more comfortable operating machinery. I didn't know how to drive a manual. Our feed truck is a manual. The feed truck is like a main character on my page right now because I am learning how to drive this feed truck. And, I try to put it in gear and I kill it and I have to start it over. And I try again and I kill it and I start it over. So I've tried to be very transparent of, I didn't know how to drive a stick. There's a lot of people who don't know how to drive a stick, but I'm trying to learn. And, I'm trying to learn how to drive the tractor and the skid steer and operate, hay machinery. And time and time again, I've been apprehensive to post content of me learning the machines because there's the ag industry is fairly niche, especially with the creators that do post on the internet, and I don't even feel like I'm in that group because I'm still fresh and new and I still consider myself a fairly small creator. But there is a general narrative that the most negativity the agriculture community receives is from within the agriculture community. And it's disappointing. I mean, 9.5 times out of 10, if I receive a negative comment on any content that I put out there, it's from a grown man who is also in the agriculture industry. Oh, you didn't put that roll bale in the right spot. Oh, bad operating skills on the skid steer. Oh, should use crazy things. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm out there, I'm trying. So that's been one of my biggest Cringe Mountain climbs in the past couple of months is hay season is just around the corner. I have a new job this year that has a beautiful amount of PTO that I have to use it or lose it. So I plan to take a week during hay season to help Colin in the field. And if I can be a very strong operator with that machinery, we can expedite our efficiency tenfold. With things more money. So I am trying very hard to be more than love my role as a gate opener. I want to be more than that. Yes. And it is hard. It's hard to share that journey. I've kept it pretty private for a while. But I've realized that I'm not the only girl out there who's dating a farmer or marrying a farmer who doesn't know how to drive a tractor or a stick or a skid steer or whatever the machine is. And, it's okay that you're learning and you're trying and you don't know, not one single person on this planet comes out of their mother's womb knowing how to operate machinery. And that's what I wish I could remind all these randies on the internet. But it's just, it's scary, it's scary to know that I am not, class A operator, and I'm posting myself making mistakes and opening myself up to the opinions and critiques from Randy. So
those dang Randys, man, those dang Randys. Just don't listen to it. I'm going to guess though, those Randys are probably 1% of the comments that you get. You think?
Truly. And I've talked to, my therapist about this. I said, it's crazy. I hear so many people talk about all the negativity and hate they receive on the internet. And I am very aware that I am beyond blessed that 97% of the audience is overwhelmingly supportive, kind, gracious. I mean, sometimes I don't even know what to say to these comments because I'm so overwhelmed of like, why are these people being so nice to me? And I of course try my best to respond the best I can. Sometimes there's just, I can't spend my whole day on my phone responding. I got a million other things to do, which I don't mean that I don't care about those. It's the volume can be overwhelming. And it's those kind of things that I want them to know how appreciative I am of them. But I've got a job and I gotta, Colin's got 16 tasks for me on the docket. So, it's amazing. Even, we had lost a dog a couple of months ago, and I shared about that and the grief that I was feeling and how I was gaslighting myself out the wazoo that I shouldn't be so upset. It's just a dog. People have greater losses in life, and, quit crying over the loss of your dog, and sharing that on the internet and hearing how many people have also lost a dog and feel that same grief and understand that, the grief of losing a family member is different than losing a dog, but you can see a dog as your family member. And so it's been, makes you feel less alone. And I think that's what people love about the internet so much and social media is you find like-minded people and, you feel like you're not alone out there. So,
that's like our episode we just released, the recording of this, that was this week, was like the power of vulnerability. And do you feel like that's really made you connect a lot more with your audience? Like, do you typically get a really good response from that?
Oh, yeah. And and that's been another, Cringe Mountain climb. I kind of think of it as these different plateaus. I climb up this side of the mountain and then I'm here and I go up the next side. And, me posting more authentically, I had a big change this past summer that really kind of opened me up to sharing my more authentic self. Not that I wasn't authentic, but I was more refined. I was less rah. And I started, once I had that change this past summer, I felt more confident and comfortable sharing. I'll get on in the kitchen and just talk about the craziest things. And it's not controversial. I don't do politics. I don't do any, my opinion on this or my controversial opinion on this. It's very much, just me. It's like I'm FaceTiming my friend. And I've had a great response from that. I talk about how I felt so strange changing my name. I've been Lauryn Jeter my whole life, and Lauryn Pinkston just doesn't roll off my tongue as easy because I'm not used to it. And, I shared about how I was crying the night before my wedding because it was my last day as Lauryn Jeter, and I shared about that. And so many people have felt the same way. And, having that response I was going to leave that in my drafts and probably delete it because I'm like, nobody else feels this way. Sure enough, everyone else did. So yeah, the vulnerability, it brings you together. And then I think that's what people appreciate is that, I'm willing to go on the internet and cry. Yeah, I've cried on TikTok a handful of times. And, I kind of go back and forth. I'll watch it 2 days later. Oh my gosh, Lauryn, why did you post that? But, I think people appreciate that. 85% of the time I'm real positive and happy and woo. And it's nice to see that I am a real person and am not always sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
So
it's all part of the human experience, to the highs and the lows. Yeah. So you mentioned like the confidence that you kind of built up over the last year. Like, can you speak to that? Like, do you feel like maybe this confidence that you've been building, whether it be from TikTok or other things, like, do you feel like that's given you more confidence to try other new things? Or like, how is this kind of mindset that you've taken into TikTok translated into other things in your life?
Yeah. Oh, it's big time snowball effect, big time. And I'm a big believer in that, not just with my confidence, but my mindset for my personal goals that I might not talk about on the internet, or my personal struggles. It's, I've said a couple of times, you are 1%, and you've said this too, 1% better tomorrow. Do something today that makes you 1% better tomorrow. And then in 30 days, you're 30% better. And, all of a sudden a year down the road, you look back and woohoo, look where I am. And, for the confidence leg of things, absolutely. You get out of your comfort zone and you post something, and then, you get good feedback and you kind of feel good about yourself. And you're like, okay, I think I can do this. And then you kind of branch out and you do something different. And then, brands start reaching out to you, and then you get out of your comfort zone. I filmed an ad for Colin, and I love that brand Poncho. They're an outdoor shirt. My dad loves them. We're big fans of Poncho. They outfitted our groomsmen for the wedding. They asked me to film a Valentine's Day ad, but it was more of a, we'd like for you to hit on these key points in the ad, versus where in the past I've just been like, hey, everybody, we love Poncho. It's the best shirt ever. Like more organic, me just rambling. And they asked for something of more structure so they could run it on their pages. And that was such a challenge for me. And I stressed out about this ad. I refilmed it. I spent probably 3 hours filming this, trying to get the perfect thing, because it was such a challenge for me. Now that I've completed that, I'm like, oh, I can do that. Like, that's no problem. So it's totally been this snowball of, I made a very organic video of, I like to pair sunglasses. Someone said to me, okay, no big deal. Me being like, hey, sunglasses are great, into this more thing. And then coming up, by the time this airs, Colin and I got an email that we're partnering with Farm Credit Mid-America to go to the Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, which is just mind-boggling. We use Farm Credit for our ag loans for the cattle, and that's crazy to me that they want us to go and represent them, sharing our little day in the life at the Farm Machinery Show. So that's a huge challenge for me. I'm shaking in my boots, but I know once I complete that, I'll feel even more confident to roll down the road. And, for little mindset things throughout the day, I was mentioning the other day to some friends, sometimes working from home, you get in that slump of not getting dressed and not putting on makeup and, oh, well, I can wash my hair tomorrow. Like, doesn't matter. No one's going to see me. But then, you kind of feel your productivity go down the drain throughout the day. And, then you're drinking too many Diet Cokes and you want to go for the gummy bears and give yourself that boost. And I've found that even the little snowball in your day of, okay, get up 10 minutes earlier, get in the shower, ice your face, put on an outfit, put some makeup on, brush your hair. Okay, and then you roll down the road. You feel more confident. You sit at your desk. You're 10% more productive. And then, you get something great accomplished that you've wanted to check off your list for 2 weeks. And then you feel even more on top of the world. It's all these snowball effects. So that's been my biggest thing, is that, one decision you make now will affect the rest of your day, and keep at it. And days are hard, but everybody has hard days. No one day is harder than the other. And, just put your head down and focus on your bigger picture. Colin and I are big believers in the long game. You don't worry about tomorrow, worry about a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, and little things today that will set yourself up for success. And that's such a broad thing to say, but it's always having that mindset of, this is hard now. Just like when you're in Pilates, you're like, gosh, I'm going to fall off this thing. This is hard now, but you keep going. And then in 2 months, you start to see those results and you feel strong, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm so glad I was in pain that one morning, because now I feel great. So
yeah. Just like pushing through those uncomfortable first feelings can set you up for like a lifetime of success, is like what I'm hearing you say. And
something that we preach here all the time. So I have a question for you, because I know that your followers are definitely going to tune in and listen to this. You're talking about long term. So what is next for you? What's next in the next, like, I guess, plans for the next year or 5 years out? Like, where do you see yourself? What's coming up?
So I mentioned we lost our dog. We would love to have another here soon. I would certainly love to have children one day, but my dogs are so important to me. They bring me so much joy that I would love to spend some time with a young dog before we have children. So that's next. That's Colin and I talk 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year plans. Like, that's been our big conversation, and I'll even say, what's your 1 week plan? Like, what do you have on Tuesday? So that's my 1 year plan. I'm gonna, we're gonna hopefully be able to adopt. We are hoping to adopt another shepherd, versus go with the breeder. So we're hoping to adopt, spend a year with the dog. We are in very, very, very early stages of our forever home. So that'll be something that we have hopefully in that 3-year plan. That'll be very exciting. I mean, early stages. And then, I'd love to have a couple children one day, God willing, if it's something that aligns and we're able to welcome more lives into our family. We'd love to have that. 5-year plan, Colin and I would love to expand our operation. We've talked about doing more than just commercial beef cattle. The niche cattle is a really unique industry, like your Wagyu, your Longhorn, like the Highlands, like more of your boutique cattle that people like to kind of put in their front yard as an ornament. We've kind of talked about leveraging my platform. If we raised a bunch of cutesy cattle that people would want as a novelty, could we leverage that with my platform to advertise? Is there a market for the Wagyu? There's all of the sorts of things that we've thought about, kind of expanding and doing more homesteading stuff. As Rachel knows me, and as silly as that sounds, like, I'd love to figure out how to garden. I know doodah about gardening. I'd love to learn. I'd love to learn how to garden. How hard can it be to grow a cucumber? So that's kind of in our more 5-year plan. And then 10-year plan, I've told Colin I'd love to have an in-ground pool in my backyard in like 10 to 15 years. And he said, do you know how much in-ground pools cost? I said, well, we start saving now. So I joke, that's been like my pinnacle. Like, when we have an in-ground pool, we're going to have made it in life.
That's the pinnacle of success.
Like, who cares about generational wealth? Like, Lauryn wants an in-ground pool. So I don't think I realize how much work they are to maintain. So it's kind of just a running.
Yeah.
I want an in-ground pool. But
every time it rains, you better be ready, because that water's turning green. So better get out there with your little shock system. But I love it. I love it. And I think one super cool thing about like you and Colin, just because I've been around, I guess, like the majority of your relationship, is like, y'all like you really do play the long game. Like, I don't feel like you guys get in a big hurry. Like, that good things take time, right? Like, you didn't like rush into marriage. You didn't rush into like, I feel like you guys really do focus on the long game and just that 1% better every day, and like creating a legacy and a generation. Like, I think sometimes as a society, like we focus so much on instant gratification. I'm guilty. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it, but like sometimes even for me, it's hard for me to like zoom out and see the bigger picture of like, okay, what I'm doing today, planting seeds, one might say, what I'm doing today is going to flourish, may not even flourish in a year. It might be 5 years or 10 years down the road, but like kind of zooming out and looking more at the long-term game plan, the long-term picture is something I really admire about you both. I think you guys do a really good job of that.
And that's something too, to just on the topic of relatability, that was hard for me because that's very much been Colin's mindset. And that was something that I had to adapt. You know, when I met Colin, I was in my early 20s, and still, you know, you grow so much in your 20s. And my mindset was very much that, okay, well, let's go buy a boat. Like, let's have a boat. We're young. We're fun. Like, let's do a boat. Well, boat season is hay season. So like, we're not getting a boat. And, you know, he would say, well, we're doing hay. And I'm like, oh, well, let's cut back on the hay and let's go have fun on our boat. He's like, well, if we, you know, don't mow hay, then we don't have that money to invest in rental properties. And then if we don't have rental properties, we don't have as, you know, great of a retirement down the road. And so there's all these little things that Colin has instilled in me with my mindset. And, you know, and I don't want to turn this into Colin's the best, but, you know, he has been, you know, he's helped form the person that I am today because of his upbringing and the way that he's, you know, broken some generational cycles within his family, and, you know, proving that he's going to, you know, be something great and work hard and have nice things. And, you know, we kind of have a champagne taste on a beer budget, but we are working really hard to have that champagne budget. And right now we acknowledge that we're not drinking champagne. We're drinking tap water. So it's been, it's been fun. And he, you know, of course I love him and we all love him. He's great, but it's been really interesting to see how I have been formed off his mindset. And I think sometimes, you know, where would I be if I never met him? Like, what would I be doing? Like, what kind of person would I be? Because I don't think that I would be the same person I am now without his influence. So it's fun to think about. And, you know, I think a lot of other people in our life can agree that, you know, Kris Jenner works hard, but Colin Pinkston works harder, and it's inspiring for everyone around him. So
it's an amazing thing to say about your husband. Like when you have a man that actually serves as a leader and influences you and puts the direction towards the long-term goals, it's a blessing, I would say, because it's rare to find men that actually stand up and say like, hey, no fun. Like, this is where we're going, and this is what we're going to do. And it's because of like the family and the wealth that we want to build long term. So that's really amazing. We always like to end the calls with just, I guess, like a question that we've been asking our guests recently, which is, if you could plant one seed, you can go back 10 years and just plant one seed, okay, that would have the most impact in your life today, what would that seed be?
It's a loaded question because I could go so many different directions with this. First to mind, invest in your retirement. You know, kind of with that mindset in your early 20s. You know, I'm 28, so 10 years ago, I was 18 years old. I was a crazy girl, just, you know, all 18-year-olds don't have that great, I mean, I shouldn't say that because I'm sure there's a lot of very focused and driven 18-year-olds. You know, any extra money I had, I was spending on, you know, anything I wanted. So I think, you know, putting money back and focusing on your retirement is something that I'm still even working on today. You know, not to go off, but that was something that Colin was like, do you have a retirement? I was like, who's retirement? I don't know who that is. And, you know, she's really helped me get on the right track with that. So I think, you know, focus on the long game and set money back and invest in your retirement. And, you know, don't go buy a flashy car and get in a big car payment, and, you know, save up and, you know, focus on real estate, investing in your future. As far as like mental, emotional, I would say surround yourself with the people that you want to be. That was a big lesson I've learned in the past 8 years, maybe, is I started surrounding myself with people that were better than me. And it gave me a great sense of purpose because I saw all these beautiful women who I viewed as so successful, so charismatic. They had it all. And they want to be my friends, that's so crazy. I want to be more like them. So I think surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and not even like-minded by your beliefs on whatever's going on in the world, but people who want to spend time doing positive things and want to spend time doing things that make you a better person. Spend time with people who speak highly of others and who are honest and hardworking and kind and people you're proud to bring home to your parents. I think who you are around speaks so much about who you are. So I think that would be something that take a step back and who's in your circle? Are these people that you're proud to be around? Are you having fun with them? Sure. Yeah, you're having a great time. But are these people going to be in your life in 10 years? What do you want to be doing in 10 years? And what do these people want to be doing in 10 years? And I think that can be really hard, losing friendships after you have that realization of, I don't think that we're on the same page anymore. And I think that the breakup, for lack of better words, I personally have dealt with a handful of those, and it's devastating. You spend so much time with these people and you love them and you'll always have a special place in your heart for them, but you're just going down different roads and their goals are different than yours. And yes, you love them, but they're not going to help you achieve your goals.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's so crucial. It's like who you surround yourself with, they're either going to lift you higher or they're going to bring you down. So you just have to choose really wisely. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Well, Lauryn Jeter Pinkston, you are such a light. I just love you. I've known you for a few years now. I'm like, you've just always been so positive. Like you're just like a ray of sunshine, just like positivity. And I know that that's translated, of course, into your content, and your audience sees that too. And just what a blessing you are to me and everyone that interacts with you. So thank you so much for your time today.
I love this. Yeah.
So happy to have you.
Next time around, you have to come.
Yeah, be in person.
Yeah,
that would be so fun.
Absolutely.
It's just a plane right away. We'll leave Colin with all the hounds in the fall.
There you go.
We'll call Mama. We'll have Mama.
Call Mama. Mama's the best. Shout out to Mama. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in today. Definitely follow Lauryn. We're going to link her in the show notes. If you don't follow her, then what are you doing? But definitely go follow her and follow along with us. Subscribe if you haven't. Rate us and leave us a review. That helps us out a ton. And follow us along on social media at The Good Seed Media. Excuse me, completely. Can I start over? God, I'm like tripping all over my words.
A lot of hard words.
Okay, let's try this again.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along with us on social media at The Good Seed Media. And stay tuned for all the updates and more information.